So to do some revision of probabilities coming from two-way tables of counts. So let's look at this example. A school survey was done to see who put hair products, such as gel and hairspray, all these kind of things. Who uses hair products, right? Brill cream, in their hair before school, and the results are as follows, right? Now the first thing you do whenever you get a two-way table of counts is familiarize yourself with the table. So firstly, familiarize yourself with this number. This number is all the students who took part in the survey. Now familiarize yourself with the subgroups. So we've got boys and girls, subgroups. Subgroups mean they're a small section of the people surveyed, right? So there's boys and there's girls, and there's people who use hair products and people who didn't use hair products. The total number of boys is 330, and the total number of girls is 390. The total number of people who use hair products is 400, and the total number of people who didn't use hair products is 320. So I have familiarized myself with firstly who is everyone, students, and who are my subgroups, right? Now that I have that, I'm ready to do my question. How many students were included in the survey? Well, it's 720. Find the probability that a student selected at random wears hair product. Now, this language, selected at random, it actually is just it's a smoke screen, right? It's obviously, whenever you use a probability, it can only apply to someone who's selected at random. So firstly, what is the use of tables? This is an example of experimental probability. An experimental probability is using the past to predict the future, to say how likely something in the future is, right? So we might want to know, for example, what is the probability that a student selected at random wears hair products. We look at the past, how many people wore hair products, right? 400 out of 720, and we apply that to the future. So a random person, we randomly select a student. He has a 400 divided by 720 chance, right? So that's the whole point of two-way tables of count, is to use your table and apply it to a randomly chosen person, right? Take the past, apply it to the future. So selected at random, obviously it's not fair to use any probability we find here unless we apply it to someone selected at random, right? So it's a smoke screen, it doesn't mean anything. But what you can get from it, what you can take away from it, whenever you see this wording, selected at random, look just before it or just after it. Who's selected at random? Is it a subgroup or is it everyone? In this case, we have a student selected at random. Student is everyone. It's not a subgroup. The subgroups are boys and girls. Just get that out again. The subgroups are boys and girls. Hair products didn't use hair. It doesn't say that. It says a student selected at random. That means it is not a conditional question. If they had said a boy selected at random, then it's a conditional question. They're saying it's out of the boys, right? Because if a boy is selected at random, the probability applied to him should have been found using boys only, right? So really look carefully at the word just before and or after selected at random to decide, is it a conditional question or not. If the word just before is a subset, it's a conditional question. But if it's everyone, it's not, right? So in this case, it's not. Try to do the questions on this list. So here are the answers. Notice that the denominator is always 720. I always start with the denominator is always 720, right? The only time whether it's an and question, an or question, any question except conditional, the denominator will be 720. Unfortunately, this one has the questions already, so I'm just gonna cross them out. Okay, So I'll do the first question here. Find the probability that a student selected at random is a boy who wears hair products. Now, firstly, they said student selected at random. So again, we're feeling like it's out of everyone and is a boy who wears hair products. Now, the way it comes out so quickly suggests to you it's an and probability, right? A boy who wears hair products. It's like it's happening, both of them are happening suddenly at the same time together, right? So a boy who wears, whenever you have an and probability or an intersection probability, the denominator will be 720 and the numerator will be boys who will be from the middle here, right? Will be boy who wears hair products will be 190, right? Find the probability that a student is a girl who doesn't wear hair products, right? So again, always I start with the denominator 720 and girl who doesn't wear hair products is 180. Find the probability that a student doesn't wear hair products and is a boy. Well, the very word and is used here, so it's likely. Although and, you know, sometimes they put and to trick you when it's even a conditional probability. So please read carefully. Doesn't use wear hair products anymore. So it'll be 140 over 720. Alright, notice that we're still always using the denominator of 720. I really believe the denominator is the hard part. The numerator is quite intuitive, but it's the denominator that you have to get right. Okay, so this is the or probability, right? Is a boy or they wear hair products. You should include anything that has the word boy in it. Doesn't matter what it has other than boy. If it has the word boy, you should include it, or if it has the word hair product. If it has both, you know, that's great. We only needed one or the other, right? So if I look over here, now an or probability, again, it's not conditional, so it's out of 720. Now you should look in the middle here at these four and ask yourselves which ones include boy or hair products. Now firstly, we start with 190. Does that include boy or hair products? Well, it includes both, so definitely. What about this one, boy who didn't use hair products? Does it include, it includes boy. It does not have hair products, but it includes a boy, so I'm going to include it. What about this one? This is the hard one. Does it include boy who wears hair products? Yes, it does. Because even though it says girls there, so the boy, it's not boy, but it is hair products, right? It is included, it's included in the hair product. So like I said, if it has boy or hair product, doesn't matter what else is there. If it has either of those, it's all money, right? It counts, right? It all counts. So this is the really hard one over here, because people are boy or wear hair products. It says girl. Oh my God, it must not be. It is. It counts, because even though it's not a boy, it does have hair products, so you have to include it. Finally, we get to the last one over here. This one's a cross. It's a girl who doesn't use hair products. So I don't have either of them. I needed at least one of them. I don't have either of them, and so I do not include the 180. So in the numerator, I'll get 190 plus 140 plus 210, and that'll be my numerator. And as usual, unless it's a conditional question, the denominator is 720. Find the probability that a student selected at random is not a boy who wears hair products. So this is a not question. 1 minus probability. So it's you're minusing the probability that it's a boy who wears hair products, and that'll give you this. Are using hair products and being a boy independent? I feel like we did this well, but I'll just put it out and say, look, make sure you set it out really well. You know, this is the kind of setting out that is required, and it's really important that it's set out well. This is a really easy question, really memorizable question, but it should be set out logically, right? Otherwise, if you just put a bunch of stuff together, you probably won't get the mark. Okay, now we get to conditional probability. So what is the probability that a person has diabetes given that they are over 70? When you say given, it has to happen. You know, Mr. Cheetah is going to wear shorts tomorrow, given that it's a mufti day. Given means like that part has to happen, right? So when you say something's a given, it's a given. It's gotta happen, right? So what is the probability that a person has diabetes given that they are over 70? That is very different to the probability of somebody having diabetes and they are over 70. And let me show that to you. Okay. Firstly, this is a Venn diagram. You probably did this when you were 10 years old. Let's say one circle is people who are over 70 and one circle is people who have diabetes. And to find the people who have diabetes and are over 70, we find the brown bit in the middle, right? So it's the brown bit divided by how many people there are in the study. But when you say given that they are over 70, you're only including people who are 70 and plus, right? And so you get something that looks like that instead, right? Because you're only including the 70 and plus. Now this is going to be a much higher probability, and this is going to be much lower because it's the same brown section, but this is divided by a much bigger denominator. This denominator is only that big, right? And that makes sense. If you know someone is over 70, there's going to be a higher chance of them having diabetes compared to them having diabetes in this particular and probability. In the denominator, you're including people who are 30 years old, 20 years old, who have, who will bring that probability right down. So this is the idea of conditional probability, is conditioning on a subgroup, saying, being 70 and above, that's required, that has to happen. It's a condition of the probability I'm about to find. It's a condition. It absolutely must be the case. Some ways you can look for that in questions. Firstly, the word given. When they say given, they're giving away that it's a conditional question, right? If they say picked at random, remember we did this before, picked at random, you look just before. They're not saying a patient picked at random. They're saying a person over 70 picked at random. So the person, the picked at random is a subgroup. That is clearly a conditional question. When they say if a person is over 70, they're saying if it's over 70, that means it has to happen, right? Again, Mr. Cheetah is going to wear shorts tomorrow if it's a mufti day. The only way shorts are coming out is when there's a mufti day. So that if is saying must be the case. If a person is over 70, now tell me what's up, right? The if can come at the beginning, it can come at the end. What is the probability that a person over 70 has diabetes? Again, that one's a little tough, but I have a little explanation here, but it's really hard to explain. Really what you have to do is you have to break down the language, and you have to ask yourself, are they saying that being over 70 is absolutely required? And then you continue. So if we look at some examples of conditional questions, given an immigrant came from Europe, so important that the first thing I do is I realize that is a conditional question. And what am I conditioning on? Europe. Now the way you write that in statistical notation, you put a line in the middle and you say conditioning on Europe. What is the probability that they came in 2008? This is the way you write it. And as soon as I write it, look, the condition is Europe, right? So every single number has to come out of that row or column. So every single number has to come out of that row or column. Okay. What do you think the denominator will be? Yep, it's intuitive. It'll be 55796. Now it says 2008 in Europe. So what will be the numerator be? Yep, it says 2008. So it's going to come out of the 2008 one. It'll be 26434. And this is how you do conditional questions from two-way tables accounts. As soon as you know it's conditional, every single thing should come out of that row or column. Remember, this notation is important, and you should learn to use it, right? It says conditional Europe. What is the probability they came in 2008? Okay, if an immigrant came from Asia, so we're conditioning on coming from Asia. We're saying they absolutely must come from Asia. If an immigrant came from Asia, what is the probability that they arrived in 2007? So everything has to have to come out of that row. Can you try to guess what the probability is? Right? So the denominator will be all the people that came from Asia. And then 2007, well, that's that one over there, right? If an immigrant came in 2008, so this time we're not conditioning on Asia, we're conditioning on 2008. We're not conditioning on Asia, that's the probability. We're conditioning on 2008. If an immigrant came in 2008, tell me such and such. So this time it's the other way around. And this time everything comes out of that column. Okay? What do you think the denominator is going to be? It's going to be 82991. And what do you think the numerator is going to be? Well, they said Asia, so it's probably going to be this one over here. So it'll be 23614. Try to do that question. That's the answer. Try to do that question. That's the answer. Okay. And if you're doing year 13, this is important. We come to our conditional formula, right? And the idea is that both of these probabilities are the same. They include this shaded in section of the same size, but the difference is the denominator. This one is divided by everything, and this one is divided by a smaller subset, right? And so we get our formula to find diabetes. The numerator is the same, it's that shaded area, but the denominator is a much smaller denominator. It's all of these over here. Okay, this formula comes up a lot, so you should learn it. Okay, now here's one thing that they do is they rewrite, this is coming very commonly in year 12 as well as year 13, is that they take a subgroup of the first table and make a new table. So before we had boys and girls, this is all boys, right? And then they ask, what is the probability of boys selected at random? Now remember, whenever we have the selected at random language, we look before, is that everyone or is that a subset? Now, if you're looking at the before table, boy is a subset, and so you would condition on being a boy. But remember what I said, the first thing you do when you get a table is familiarize yourself with who is everyone and who is the subsets. In this particular table, everyone is boys. It's not a subgroup. The subgroups are 12 to 15 year olds, 16 to 18 year old, people who use gel, people who use wax. So in this case, it's not a conditional question because selected at random is everyone. So like I said, one of the main things we do as soon as we get a two-way table of counts, we familiarize ourselves with who is everyone and who are our subgroups. Because if it's out of the subgroups, it's a conditional probability. And if it's out of everyone, it's an everyone probability. Really important that the first thing whenever you're using whenever you're doing any probability question, you ask yourself, are they asking me a conditional question or otherwise, right? This would be an example of a conditional question. What is a randomly selected participant who uses gel? I know that's one of my subgroups. That's not everyone. Not everyone uses gel. Some people don't use gel, right? Everyone are boys. And some of them use gel, some of them use. So it says, what a random who uses gel. So I'm conditioning on gel, and I'm asking what's the probability of being 12 to 15. Well, now that's everything's got to come out of here, and the answer is 170 for the denominator, and what do you say, 12 to 15, 80 for the numerator. And that's a wrap.